Come in.
Dr. Wolf, I presume?
Why, yes. Hello there.
So you're Ponyville's esteemed new psychologist. What a pleasure it is to finally meet you in person. I've heard a great deal about you from my social circle.
Likewise, Miss Rarity. I've been looking forward to your visit. But you certainly seem to have pulled out quite a few stops just for a chat.
Oh, you mean this old thing? A trifle, but naturally a lady should always try to make a good first impression.
I see. Well, why don't you...
Oh my! I should have come here much sooner.
Well, if you really felt the need to talk about something so distressing...
No. I mean the decor of this office. It simply won't do. I'm sorry to say, Doctor, but it is a jarring mess. Didn't you have a coherent color scheme in mind when you designed the space? Why, you could round out this room with a nice chestnut bergère chair and some burgundy chenille draperies. With a proper sense of style, your client's gaze could be led from one harmonious palette to the next. It would create a more pleasant and therapeutic environment.
You may have a point. I do want to make my office environment as pleasant and welcoming as possible. I suppose I just never considered color relationships to be all that important.
Not important? I feel faint. I could just... Oh, my dear Dr. Wolf, where in Equestria did you dredge up this battered old couch? I couldn't possibly faint on this. Much better. Oh, I feel faint.
Well, it's not the first time my office decor has received criticism. I suppose I should swallow my pride and seek some advice in this area.
I would be more than delighted to lend you my expertise, Doctor. Please forgive my candor, though. I understand how hard it is to receive criticism.
Oh? Is that an invitation for a discussion?
I suppose it is. Honestly, I'm not quite sure where to start. My fashion design business has been doing wonderfully. I've been so very busy, and that is an accomplishment, mind you, considering how competitive the industry is. But lately, I've just been feeling like I've somehow forgotten why I'm doing what I do. I take on so many projects trying to meet the demands of so many ponies to the point where I feel as though I'm spinning out of control. Oh, I'm able to hold my composure, to be sure, but I come through it and wonder why I'm spending so much of my energy.
I see. I would guess that your customers compensate you well for your services and love the work that you do, correct?
Oh, yes, of course. The bits aren't even the important thing, really. Most of the time, it's enough just to see the delight on their faces when I show them the ensemble I created for them. But there are also times when they don't like what I've done, or they just aren't as happy with it as I expected, when I put the same amount of care and effort as for any other project.
I'm sure that must be difficult when you pour so much of yourself into your craft.
Yes, it doesn't happen that often, but when it does, all the effort I put in ends up feeling like a tragic waste. I know it sounds silly. You can't please everyone. Criticism is part of the job, but I simply can't help but feel devastated whenever my work is not well received. Even the smallest criticism strikes me as if it were a personal failure, and then I end up pushing myself to the point of burnout trying to make up for it.
Interesting. Can you describe a specific occasion when this happened?
Yes. This was some time ago, but it's one of the best examples. My dearest friends and I were ecstatic about attending the Grand Galloping Gala. It all started with Twilight. The poor dear. She was going to wear this horridly dated old frock to the gala! Can you believe that?
That's unbelievable.
I know, but it's true. She may be a princess now, but she was in desperate need of refinement in those days. I was only too happy to help, of course. Anyway, I managed to convince her to let me design a glamorous new gown for her. But then it became clear that both Applejack and Rainbow Dash were also in need of my assistance. Before I knew it, I had volunteered to make gowns for all 5 of my best friends.
Quite generous of you. I'm sure it was a great deal of work.
Oh, it was. But then it was made worse when my friends kept coming back to me with criticisms and suggestions, some more helpful than others, on how to create their gowns the way they envisioned them. I was so easily led on by each criticism that I worked my tail off trying to make them all happy.
And?
And the gowns were terrible! I still have nightmares about how garish and unbalanced they were. And to make matters even worse, Hoity-Toity, one of the biggest names in the fashion world, chose that time to review my latest designs and saw those abominations. It was the worst possible thing!
But your business is doing well today, so you must have come through it in stride.
Yes, my friends supported me, apologized for interfering with my creative process, and I was able to present my new designs that worked much better. But that incident almost cost me my reputation with the Canterlot Elite.
Miss Rarity, there is no question in my mind why you qualify as the element of generosity. You seem to be driven to give of yourself to please and help others through your creativity. And given that desire to please others, it is certainly understandable that you would feel overwhelmed by criticism at times. Might I ask if this issue is still as difficult for you when customers other than your friends are displeased with your creations?
Yes it is. More recently, I was commissioned to create a traveling puppet theater for the Full and Philly Fair. It was a glorious, gilded creation. I had put a lot of work into it, and I was so proud to be leaving my creative mark on the fair. But my commissioner hated it! And the worst part is, he was right! The stage was too small, the wheels were purely decorative, and it was just completely unusable, as he put it. I was entirely unprepared for the criticism, and it affected me deeply.
And how did you react?
Well, I was completely professional, naturally. But the point is that I was dying inside. I couldn't understand how I could have been so short-sighted.
From the sound of it, you were focusing on form over function?
Yes, I suppose that's what it comes down to. I've always believed that even the most practical things could do with some aesthetic appeal. Otherwise, the world would just be a drab and dull place.
I would tend to agree, but you took it too far in this case?
Yes! I took it too far! I completely forgot the point of the creation! I was foolish!
Miss Rarity, I don't think there is anything foolish about valuing aesthetics the way you do. Consider what you were saying when you first came in. You made some valid points about the design of my office and how I might better serve my patients if I were to improve it. Surely there is no need for me to take your comments personally, but I think I would be well advised to take your insights into consideration.
Oh, well, thank you, Doctor.
Perhaps what you need is a little more practice with someone who will both support and criticize your efforts, so that you may be better prepared for those unexpected moments with your customers. In fact, I believe that we may be able to help each other in this respect.
I'm all ears, Doctor. What are you suggesting?
I propose that if you're willing to lend your expertise on creating a more welcoming environment for my patients, we can, at the same time, talk about some of your more upsetting experiences while you are applying your craft. While you have your creativity flowing and are in a more positive state of mind, I can reintroduce some of those memories and discuss how you can better handle such criticism in the future. I believe that by doing that, you may be better able to think objectively about what you could have learned without giving into despair over your past mistakes. I would guess that you tend to feel your most driven, decisive, and, well, cheerful when you are allowed to let your creativity flow and bring beauty to your surroundings.
Well, yes. I call it being in the zone. I feel like things make more sense when I'm in that state of mind.
I believe it is critical that we don't ignore those situations where others have offered us legitimate criticism. Otherwise, how can we use them to grow? But many of us have great difficulty handling that criticism, especially when it has to do with something we feel very passionate about. Far too many ponies try to figure out how to solve their issues while they're still upset over the situation. However, we tend to think more objectively about our circumstances and what we can learn from them when we are in a more positive and uplifting mood. We can do this by involving ourselves in activities that exhilarate and inspire us.
I suppose it's true that I can be a tad overzealous in my self-criticism during those unhappy moments. So, perhaps I could use the help and support to work things out while I'm in the zone. I think it's worth a try, Doctor.
Glad to hear it. I have an opening this time next week, if that would work for you.
Doctor? You aren't just looking for an excuse to have me come visit more often, are you? You sly canine.
I hadn't intended...
Oh, darling, honestly, there's no need to be so serious. I must say, though, red is a good look for you. Thank you very much for the chat. You've given me some things to think about. Good day for now. I very much look forward to our next visit.
Take care, Miss Rarity, and best of luck to you. It's good to be helping. Maybe this place could use more of an artist's touch.